Okay, welcome to lesson 3. This is on other graphs, okay, things that may not be as common, but we use them anyway, okay, so we use them in certain situations, which is why we have to know what they are. So let's talk about other graphs. Please make sure you have your notebook specifically for this class. If you don't, you can't use it on the notebook quiz. So the notebook quiz is the next class period. No, not tomorrow, it'll be the one after that. Please make sure that you have, that you're using the right notebook. Remember, conceptual, we don't have to write down, okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about today is there's several different types of graphs that we're going to cover today. We're just going to kind of go over their names and what kind of data they use. So the very first one right here is called a Pareto chart. A Pareto chart is sort of like a histogram, except for that our categories here on the bottom are all, they're not numbers, they're things. So, or people, or something else. It's not a number. It's not quant. It's not a quant. Something that you can quantify. There's no numbers involved. Okay. Down here we have a time series graph. Okay. These are really cool graphs. This show things over time. Weather is something that's used quite common. You'll notice this is temperature over a 9-hour period. So it just kind of shows how something changes over time. Okay. A pie chart. Okay. I think you've been familiar with these from probably 3rd grade. This is where you put percentages in a chart. They're very visual. They get a really good picture of what's going on in certain situations. I like pie charts for those purposes. This one right here is called a stem and leaf plot. These are used when we're trying to, it's almost another way to do a frequency chart, but it's basically to give us an idea of where we have a lot of data, where we don't have a lot of data. You'll notice there's a lot of numbers in the 30s here. So, and we'll build a stem and leaf today. So we're going to build each one of these graphs. Today you're going to have 4 examples. I'm going to try to work through them quickly. Most of these do not take that long to build. All right, so this is a Pareto chart is a frequency distribution using things that are not numbers, okay? So, so this is basically like a histogram. We're going to take these 4 different categories. In this case, we have, and make them the same width, just like we do with a histogram. And I'm going to make this Connecticut, Maine, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and I'm missing one, New York. So here I have these, and I have the number of homicides in each one of these places, and I want to look and see what the differences are between them. So these numbers are fairly small, so I'm going to actually do these by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Connecticut has 4.1 homicides, so it's going to go something like that. Probably should have been just a little bit lower. Maine has very few homicides. It's going to be 2. New Jersey has 4, so just less than Connecticut. Again, if you have graph paper or something like that, it'd be easier to figure these out. Pennsylvania, 5.3, so we're going to go up above the 5 and over. And New York, 5.1, just under Pennsylvania. So I didn't do a very good job of keeping them even, but again, graph paper and those kind of things will solve that problem. So that's your first chart. Okay, so this is your practice problem number 1. This you're going to do on your own, create your own Pareto chart, and then check your answer. So go ahead, pause, do the problem, and check your answer. Okay, here's your answer. It shows the Pareto chart. Go ahead and pause, check it out, and then move on. All right, time series graph. Time series goes over time. Usually, when we draw a time series, we won't always put the years in there, like 1996. You'll just start it with year 1, year 2, year 3, and so forth. You can put years in there if you want, but sometimes that has a tendency to take more space than necessary. So, so let's go ahead and draw a time series graph. We're going to, year 1996, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Over the course of 7 years, we're looking at the number of airline departures in the millions over the years. So has it gone up? Has it gone down? And so let's check this out. We're going to go up. We're going to do a little squiggly line here. I'm going to do this. This means that I'm taking some space and I'm shrinking it. So this means that this is not going to be the same as the rest of it. And we're going to start this at 5. 5. Now you'll notice I'm going up by 1s. So this is basically a space of 1, but I can do this to show the graph here. 7, 8, So now I'm going to do dots of all the ones that I have. So year 1, I'm right under 8. Okay, year 2, I'm almost at 10. Year 3, I'm at 10 and a half. Year 4, I'm at 11 and a half. So year 4, I'm at 11. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and year 4, I'm at 10.9. And then year 5, I'm at 11. And I'm going to go down to 9.8. And up slightly, 10.1. This is my, somebody's trying to me. Alright, so I want you to notice a couple of things here. First of all, these graphics can tell us a lot of stuff. You know, the number of airline departures is going up. And then you will notice there's a dip. In history, and this is an American thing, what do we know happened in 2001 that caused our airline departures to go down? Which is actually kind of interesting that because in 2001 it would have been the end of the year that the airline departures would have gone down. But in 2001, that is the year that September 11th happened, and we had the bombs, and actually a lot of people stopped flying. It almost ruined the airline industry in the United States. Things have changed quite a bit since then. So, but it's interesting to see the picture of how that happened. So that's a time series graph. All right, here's your practice example. Go ahead and draw yourself a picture in a time series graph, and then pause the video, and then check your answer. Here's your answer. Pause it, check it out, and move on. Okay, example 3, a pie graph. Now, this is the kind of graph I'm going to tell you right now I'm not going to do a fantastic job on because I have because I don't have a perfect little circle, and I'm not very good at drawing. So I'm going to do my best with this, but I'm going to tell you right now it's not going to be perfect. So when we do a pie chart, one of the most important things we need to do is make sure we have things in percentages. So I'm going to, in order to do this in percentages, I need to find out what my total is. If I add all these numbers up, I get 1,000. And then to get my percentages, I take each one of the numbers and divide by 1,000. And that's going to give me a decimal that in turn is a percentage. So I'm going to make an assumption here that you can calculate percentages. So this is 14.6%, right? This one is 33%. This one is 22.5%. And this one is 29.9%, okay? If percentages, again, we are, you know, I know it's been a long time. If it's something that you struggle with, go find yourself a YouTube video on how to calculate percentages. They're all over, you can find them. All right. Now, creating this pie chart, it is split up by, it's in a circle, and if you had a perfect little circle, you could do it in 360 degrees, and each little notch would be a degree, and you don't have one of those, so I'm just going to be guesstimating here. Now, what I did was I looked here and I said, okay, I have 33%, 29%, and then this added together would be about 37%. So I'm going to split this essentially in thirds, because 33% is exactly 3. So I could make this one right here visit. And which one's a little bit smaller? This one's a little bit smaller. I'm going to make this one leisure, because these are about 30% each. And then I'm going to split this other one up like this. And I have work-related and personal. So this is not a very good pie chart, but it is one, okay? At least I can get a good, it gives me some idea of what's going on. So that's a pie chart. Here is your practice problem. Go ahead, pause the video, do the practice problem. I don't expect it to be perfect, okay? Just, you know, make some estimates. Here is your answers. Notice they did all the work. So they were showing all the different work with this. So make sure that you have this. It did the work with all the degrees on a circle. You don't need to do that, okay? I'm not asking you to do that. We'll do, you know, estimated pie charts. This is not the point of our statistics class. So, all right. So example 4, stem and leaf. Okay, this is the one that I see come up more often, actually. So a stem and leaf plot, what you need to understand about a stem and leaf plot is it's in 2 pieces. Usually, one piece will have the tens place. So you remember in elementary school when we learned about numbers. You have a tens place and a ones place. So the one side is going to be the tens place, and then the other side is going to be the ones place. Now sometimes you may have the tens and a hundreds place on this side, but occasionally, but most of the time it's just the tens place. So, so you'll notice here my numbers go from 40 in the 40s to the 60s. So I'm only going to have on this page a 4, a 5, and a 6. I'm going to split, make them just a little bit wider apart. 4, 5, and 6. And then what I'm going to do is anywhere I have a 40, the other part of that number is going to go here, and it must go in order. So I would give yourself some room. I'm not going to go in order by these numbers because I want to show you how it looks when it's neatly in order. So with my 40s, I have a 42, a 43, a 46, a 46, a 47, a 48, and 2 49s. So that's how I would write that out. They must be in order. This is really important. My 50s is huge. I have a 50, and I have 4 51s. I have 2 52s. I have 5 54s. I have 4 55s, 3 56s, 4 57s, and 1 58. My 60s, I have 1 60. I have 3 61s, a 62, 64, 64, 65, 68, and 69. So these are really nice when you're trying to find medians and modes and that kind of stuff. They help you really see those. We're going to get into that in the next lesson. So here's example 4. Here's your practice problem for example 4. Okay. Please make sure that you pause the video, do the practice problem. There's not quite as many numbers in this problem than there was in the example. Okay, here's your solution. Go ahead and double check your answer. And that's it for today. So, oh, I need to move this a little bit though. There we go. Now you should be able to see it, maybe. All right. We will see you tomorrow.